Alrighty, traders. This is Blake Morrow, and you are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. I want to first and foremost thank you all for being here. Now, we're gonna have a little bit of a conversation really quick before we get started, because I can't always I've had this conversation before with not only you guys, but with our traders. But obviously we have traders that life happens, they end up not stepping away, and we have people that stop trading, we have people that come in all the time. So there's always cycling new traders over time. There's a kind of a running joke though, and I'll say this. I've been on Twitter now for 10 years, or over 10 years, I think 11 maybe, or something like that, 11, maybe even 12. I have to go back and check. I've been on social media for a long time as far as Twitter goes, and I specifically follow certain people because they're really good contrarian people. Like, they tweet, and they tweet at the highs or the lows almost religiously. And a few of them have fallen off over the years. I found new ones, but there's one person in particular that is really, really good. And I joke around and have for years. And if you've listened to me on the webinars for years, I've said, look, I don't like to talk bad about people. I just don't. I don't like to badmouth people. There are a few people that I have exceptions to that rule. Keith McCullough, Hedge Eye. The guy's he's smart. I give him that. But man, he's a douchebag. He's like the total, sitting on a yacht douchebag, grew up in some, Ivy League school, went to some Ivy League school, grew up in a, Connecticut family, that type of guy. Whether he is or not, that's how he comes off. And so it just, so I'll talk smack about him a little bit. Just, maybe I'm just jealous that I never grew up that way. I don't know. But he definitely knows his stuff. So I'll give him that. And then I used to talk, smack about Dennis Gartman, because man, he was the ultimate contrarian person on CNBC. He'd come on CNBC or put out his newsletter. As soon as he said it, you knew just to go opposite. I mean, it was like religion, right? Gartman, the market got Gartmaned. Northman Trader. I'll talk smack about that guy all day long. That guy is a piece of garbage. He tried to fake his own death. And I actually confronted him on it. We used to follow each other on Twitter, and oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't confront him on it. But I said something on Twitter. I guess I did confront him then, and he blocked me for good. And the guy talks a great game, but he started managing people's clients from the story that I got, and then he fell off like social media, like faked his death. And then came back probably, after, lawsuits are settled. I don't know. But yeah, if you ever Google Northman Trader, dies or something like that, you'll find like a string of stuff buried in the internet. It's like, dude, I think what he did is he lost a bunch of clients' money, but now he's on zero hedge, and he's been bearish for the last 10 years. I mean, he's always bearish. He's never thinks stocks are going higher. So, he's always doom and gloom. Anyway, so those are the few people I talk smack about. Anyway, but I try not to. I think it's unprofessional for the most part. That was a specific reason. Going back to Northman Trader, that was like, dude, that's jacked up, But there's one guy out there, and they hear you hear me in the chat rooms mention him, and wow, the euro's really taking a dump now. There's one guy in the chat room, or one guy that I mentioned. I'm like, he's the contra. He is the contrarian. And but people have caught on to who he is, because I'll like copy paste his tweets, and then people will Google search the tweet that I copy pasted, and they can figure out who it is. You guys have to figure it out yourself, because I just don't, that's, like I said, unless it's people with reach, that are like talking heads that need to be, called out sometime, like Northman Trader, for example. I just won't do it. I try not to. So you can see right here, I said, Taki's actually, he knows who he is. So Taki said, Contra is going to save us. I sold euro dollar at 120.65. Contra has spoken. And, so I shorted the euro 30, what was it? 30 pips ago. So now the euro's actually crapping the bed. And first of all, I knew the euro's, you guys know the way I was going to attack it today. I was waiting for 121, but when Contra, wrote that, I'm like, dude, well, that's it. And, that's going to cap the rally. And, and we have actually created now a lower high. And so now that's going to put the 119.90 at risk. So anyway, there are people in the chat room that will, there's actually Craig last week. He told everybody who it was. And I was like, wasn't me. That was Craig. Pointing fingers at Craig. Wasn't me. I didn't do it. Anyway, so just remember, when this guy speaks, it's like, dude, you got to really, if he's speaking about a trade that you're in, you got to start thinking, oh God, I got to be a little careful. Taki says, we'll present strategy review results in the fall. Lagarde negative rates, an effective tool to provide stimulus. Okay, that's what drove the euro lower. Thank you, Takis. Appreciate it. All right, let's take a look at the cable. So the cables, this is really deadly for the pound. And you guys remember I talked about this the last couple of days, the false breakout above the 139 level and hitting the 127% extension and possibly reversing. Overnight, I said, hey, if we break this 138.85 level, it's bearish. So I think the next stop for the cable is going to be that trend line, or let's figure this out. And guys, if I sound tired, I'm really tired. It took me forever to fall asleep last night. I got a lot on my mind. I got a few projects here with ForexAnalytix that I'm working on, and I keep running through them in my head and making sure I've got everything straight in my head. And I think it kept me up last night. So I think that was it more than anything. It's not like stressful. It's just more of, okay, did I remember that? Oh, I can't forget that. And, it's one of those things. So anyway, mine was moving a lot last night. And for that reason, I slept not as much as I normally do, which isn't a lot anyway. So, when you lose an extra, 2-3 hours of the 5.5 hours you normally get, it's, usually detrimental to your next day. 137.90, which will be the 618. Well, let's just call it 138. That's going to, and this is, you can see this red line here, that previous support resistance, that should all, this 138 level should all come into as pretty good support. Notice I'm keeping everything at range right now. So, and a lot of it will be. So resistance now is 139.50. As long as we stay below that, I would be, I'm a little hard pressed to try to get bullish up here. Okay. Chad said just 2 days ago, Contra switched his position in an hour and it turned on a dime. I know, it's amazing, isn't it? It's like wild. Benedict actually thinks that he could actually work for a bank, and he's signaling to banks what they're doing. I don't think I don't necessarily think that is it, but you can't put it past people and money and, you know, insider trading and who knows. So this is what Amanda was talking about yesterday, and and Martin was too in our chat room. The head and shoulder in a head and shoulder, right? I was telling people last night, look, if you can get short the Aussie dollar on a rally, you got to do it. If we were going to get it, like kind of a feeding off. Hold on really quick. I closed the remainder of my euro dollar short for 31 pips. Just letting everybody know. Remainder. Guys like freaking clockwork. Okay. All right. So anyway, where am I at? So euro or Aussie dollar. So we have the head and shoulder in the head and shoulder. And then as I said in the last night, let me see if I can pull up this up in the chat room. And I want you guys to, for those of you that aren't in the chat room, you can kind of see what, like last night, I was buried yesterday. I was on so many damn calls. It was redonkulous. It was silly. And I feel bad because I didn't have as much interaction in the chat room as I normally do. And then I had to do the analysis and like last night I had to pick my kid up at the university and blah, 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 and all this crap. So anyway, last night, this is what I wrote. And this is, you have to remember that yesterday or the day before yesterday, we had a big bounce in the dollar index off of, here, it's right here. So we had a much bigger bounce in the, a big bounce, here we go. So we had a big bounce in the Aussie dollar, or in the dollar index, excuse me, from yesterday or from 2 days ago. And I'm like, you got to play into that, in my opinion. So I said, I would look for moves that made some headway, then look to fade them. So like the Aussie or New Zealand sell rallies, if they can extend slightly, like the Aussie dollar short closer to, 77.75. Yes, I know we only reached for 77.64 last night. I know that, but you get what I'm saying. It's like, okay, the dollar index and so here's the, I think the euro dollar, by the way, is a fade anywhere close to the 121 level. Matter of fact, it should say matter of fact, close to the 120.60 to 120.70 level. That gravestone doji from yesterday should play out lower tomorrow. I wrote that last night, guys. The euro hit a high of 20.69 and reversed. Okay. So the reason why I'm saying this is because when you have a daily candle like this bullish hammer off of a 618, I know yesterday we reversed. That was all Bank of Canada crap move. And I wanted to play back into the bullish dollar scenario that we got from 2 days ago. That's why I'm like, if we get a rally into Asia, you got to sell into it. All right. So, but now I think the risk is like the Aussie breaks through the neckline here. This is a pretty nice head and shoulder pattern. Great call with Amanda and Martin in the chat room yesterday, like foreseeing this. I think it's, if we break below 77 cents, it's we should see a little bit of a move lower. Okay. All right, I'll continue on. I know I've been chit-chatting quite a bit. And like I said, I'm a little tired today. I'm not quite out of it or in it, or I'm kind of out of it. And I got a crap ton of stuff to do again today. My, anyway, it's irrelevant. All right, here's the Kiwi. So resistance, I was hoping we'd make it up to the 618. And I still think we can't rule it out. So I'm just going to write down 72.60. I just 72.65. Can't rule it out. It's the 618 retracement, guys, or 60, I guess it's 60, 60, 60. 72.60. Support is 71 cents. And I know we're in smack dab in the middle, but I still don't think that we can rule out moves. I do think that the stock market, I mean, we just opened right now, and I do think the stock market's going to come under a little bit of pressure from here, and it's going to, you know, help boost the dollar, but it doesn't mean that it's going to happen. Dollar Canadian, I think we could get a rally back up towards, well, you know, let's figure it out. I'm still long the dollar Canadian, guys, just so you know. So 50% retracements there, 125.55 roughly. So 125.75 is a 618, 77 actually, but I'm going to write down 125.75. If you're long and you're not comfortable being long, like if you're like, I'm still long, I don't like it, but I'm still long, then, you know, if we can get back up to, you know, anywhere close to this 125.75, that's not a, that I think is a good place to take profits. Like, you know, hey, I'm going to take it off the table and I'll revisit the trade later. Personally, that's what I think. All right. So anyway, resistance will be right there. Support is obviously 124.75. I mean, that's just key support. And we have to stay range bound for now. And like I said yesterday, the only way the dollar Canadian is going higher now is stocks have to come down, because it's not going to get any help from the Bank of Canada now. Swissy, above 92, you'll get bullish. You'll break out. Remember, this is all this previous support here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to write down 92. Let's write down this number here, 92.15. Let's do that versus 92. 92.15. Support is still 91. And I flipped it back to range, I believe, yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. I flipped it back to range yesterday. US dollar, Norwegian krona, I'm still long, and 130, 831 held. So I'm putting this back on range because of the false breakdown. Now we do have to get above 840 for it to start to squeeze a little bit right here. Okay. All that resistance. So I'm going to write down 840 as resistance today. 840. And remember, crude oil matters, right? It does. Okay. US dollar, Mexican peso needs to break above 20. Okay, if it breaks above 20, it is insta bullish. I thought this move above 1990 was going to do it yesterday, but obviously stocks had something else to say. So $19.78. I'm going to keep it on range, but it actually turns bullish above 20. That's when it actually turns bullish, like actually does it. All right. Dollar yen. So I don't know what to do with the dollar yen. I mean, I think it's well, first of all, it's hard to be bullish here because of the false breakout on the multi-year trend line. That makes it really hard to be bullish right now. But it's like, do you really want to be bearish while stocks are still holding up? Yeah, I don't know about that. So this probably looks like that, right? So I'm going to say resistance is 108.50, support. This is the 38% retracement. So that's 107.75. So 107.75, 108.50. And you remember 108.35 was resistance too, because this is right. This is the previous support, 108.35. But I really probably care more about this resistance because that's the trend line, right? Okay, but do you think the Little Rascals would be canceled today?
I don't know what the Little Rascals are.
Wait, hold on.
Is he getting a stroke or something?
I think he's reading the comment.
I was reading the comment from
Alexander.
He said, "Hey, I just want to shout out to you with the thank you note." He said, "I finally watched, and I finally had the time last night. The video that you shared quite a while ago, that's your last show with Wise Trade, Blake's final show, 12/23/2016. Again, I learned a lot from your thoughts and notes to that community. It was quite heartbreaking in the end, seeing that the whole community didn't want to lose you, even though the final comment of the video was profound. And then we went. I don't like goodbyes as well because it's always cruel and takes a toll to change from regular habits, but I always take it as an opportunity to grow a little more. Thank you for sharing that video, and thank you again for providing the community all your knowledge and experience. I want to thank also Steve and Stelios for your comments, ideas, knowledge, and words teach me a lot on a daily basis. I hope to continue to learn with the team and community for years to come." That comes from Alexander. So, hey, thank you very much for those comments. And here's the funny thing about that. Oh, and sorry, it should be, and then he went, is what Alexander said. The interesting thing about that is I had to leave the Wise Trade community because they were it was being bought by Ally Financial, and I did not want to continue on with Ally Financial. This, you're just a little cog in this huge machine. But the thing is, a lot of the Wise Trade Forex traders, they're with us today, and they're in the chat rooms. So, and listening in right now. I mean, and some of them aren't even in the chat rooms, or, they might be light subscribers and, just listen to these webinars, but we have a lot of support from those traders. So it's nice to have them here. So anyway, yeah. And he said, yeah, I didn't know the whole history, just caught the last video. And yeah, it was interesting. And that was definitely a turning point because I was trading I'd already been trading full time for Spectrum Capital at that point for 9 months prior to that. So beginning of 2016, actually it was the end of 2015, I started trading for them. Yeah, so anyway. I knew that was over. It was over. I just did not want to go on with them. Not in their capacity. No way. Not working for the machine. Not like that. No, thank you. And I didn't have the say so to do what I wanted to do with our clients. I didn't have the say so to, teach or teach people the way I wanted that things I wanted to teach, or teach them how to do things that I wanted to do. And I didn't have that flexibility. I had to get it all approved and blah, blah, blah. It's like, screw that, like, how am I going to teach people how to be real when I myself can't even be real? Stocks are coming under a little bit of pressure, just FYI. All right, S&P. Again, can't get excited about stocks until we get below 4110. This is megaphone resistance. And if we do roll over here, let's note we are making a lower high. Okay, so I'm going to write down resistance today at being 41.90. That's it. 190, and support is critical at 41.10. That's like key support. While we're above that, you have to be bullish. But if we get below it, we're going to flip over to range. Sucks because everything else is in range too. And you know what, Alexander, one of the other things about me leaving Ally Financial, or they kept the name Wise Trade, but is Ally Financial, which is like one of the biggest banks here in the US. Anyway, the great thing is it's allowed me to meet people like you, traders like yourself. And that's been the
and
really
me, don't forget that. You meant me. Come on.
I don't give a crap about you because you look good with no hair, and I don't like that. Because I've shaved my head a couple times in my life, and my head's all lopsided. I look horrible. It's I'm jealous. So
at least you have the option. It's an option.
Anyway, hold on, guys. Let me just finish up here, and then I'll let you take over. I'm really kind of loopy tired, so I want to make sure I get this all right. So what's interesting is Ethereum is nearing or just hit all-time highs. Bitcoin's not following. And by the way, Ethereum hitting all-time highs on very divergent relative strength. So just, I don't know if I'd be following it up here. But it has dragged Bitcoin up, which still is, I'm going to write down. Same as yesterday. It is bullish while we're above that. Well, no. I'm flipping it back over to flipping it over to range. We just turned bearish below 50,500. That's where, but it's going to have a hard time doing that with everything that's happening with Ethereum. All right, let's take a look at gold and silver really quick. Silver, what a rejection. I've been writing down 2680 for a long time. I know we were writing down 2626 because this is the 38% retracement. But look, I think that's more of the. I'll just go back to writing this every day. 2380. Do you guys remember this? I did it for like literally a month, or maybe like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
That is wrong. What's the resistance?
Oh, oops, sorry, 2680. My bad. Right? These are the. I'm like, we are in a range. Blue lines. 2680, 2380, 2680, 2380. And I wrote that for a long time. And then the last couple of days I was writing the 38% retracing because I was like, okay, well, that's capping us. So gold. So we completed I call that a completion. You might say, well, Blake, it had $5 more to travel. Dude, when you get some of these, you get some of these patterns before they reach the completion area. You have to imagine everybody's seeing the same crap we are, right? It's not like I'm doing some sort of, work that, is some secret sauce work. I mean, we're all looking at, hey, that's a pennant. Hey, the target should be at 1805. Well, if the target's at 1805, I'm going to take some profits before we get to the big round number at 1800. Yeah, good idea. I think I'm going to take profits there too. So everybody's taking profits at 1795.
I'm leaving. You had promised me the secret sauce.
Yeah, I wish there was. But you guys get what I'm saying here. It's like, of course, we're not going to make it, or, of course we could fall short. It's big 1800, big round number. Plus we have basically the pattern completion in the same place. So, but it's bullish while we're above 1760, and I should never have pulled mine off. And I'm such a goober for doing that. So there you are, guys. There's your bias chart. It is finished, finito, complete. So there you go.
We're not going to have Greg actually because he had to go. He thought he would take less time to do the bias chart, so it's all your fault. But he's going to be with us tomorrow. He's going to be with us tomorrow.
That's what I want to say. So Blake, we have you to blame, which means that now you're forced to give us a second session in Elliott waves. So
just sickle that. All right.
Go ahead, begin.
You guys, good luck. Steve, Stellis, I'm gonna have you guys take over. I'm gonna
go take a nap
a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna take 5. All right, see you guys.
Thank you, Blake.
Bye, guys.
Bye, mate.
I'm just uploading. There you go. It's there. It's done. Okay, so equity is interesting yesterday. We were talking about, we have two down days in a row. Could this be something? Of course not. 1% rally yesterday, and we're back to the usual. And
that is why I've said many times that it's not easy to fade a trend with weak evidence, right? So, for example, now that we have more price action, it looks likely that what we have is another consolidation, right?
Indeed.
I mean, the S&P looks like it's forming a symmetrical triangle. Not that it's impossible for it to, produce another leg lower. It isn't. But, respecting the trend, it is very possible that we just have in hand another bullish consolidation. So, it is what it is. And
nothing has changed in the big picture, unfortunately. So we wait and see. Risk assets were very well bid yesterday. Metals were flying. Cryptos are flying.
Not both of them, actually.
Well, today, no. Metals are retreating a little bit, but yesterday they were doing very well. But
no, I mean about cryptos as well, because Bitcoin is just 2% higher. Which
only 2%. Come on, 2% in a day.
For the standards of Bitcoin is like 0.01, let's say, in another asset. And Ethereum though is pushing all-time highs. This divergence with Bitcoin though, would trouble me quite a lot. I have to say. So I would really advise against chasing Ethereum here. I think it might be rather dangerous. So now having to do with metals, I don't think today's candlesticks is showing us anything like really bearish so far. So
the partial retracement of yesterday's candle. It's not.
I wouldn't fade strength just because of what we're seeing so far in the day. I think it's an overkill.
Yeah. What else to say? Okay, I mean nothing. We had ECB, the Lagarde Q&A. We got very little. She did say that negative rates is an effective tool for stimulating the economy, and every time I hear that,
where's the evidence of that?
Yeah, exactly. But she did say that. So the ECB will definitely be open to negative rates if and when it's needed.
But they do have negative rates. What do you mean?
No, the refi rate is 0. The deposit rate is negative.
Yeah, exactly.
But technically, the refi rate is
and
0.
anyhow, nominal rates are less important. Real rates are really negative, and they
Very
have been
negative,
for a long time. And that's what matters most, the real rates, and they are negative.
Yes, real rates, the way they are reported as well, so they're even more negative, really.
Indeed.
So but apart from that, crypto's going, metals retreating. The currencies are not doing much today. The sterling is a little bit weak today, but again, it's retracing.
It is, and it is helping actually the euro pound do what I said yesterday, that it should probably have one more leg higher, and I think it looks more likely now. Probably another move towards 88.50 I think is probably in the cards here.
I think euro pound needs to take 83 and a half is a huge support.
Yes,
I think
it
wants
is.
to get there, and you're right. I think we might bounce a little bit, but it just needs to get there first, and then who knows.
In other news, the euro is getting rejected again from this trend line resistance. So, no breakout yet, although admittedly we've had quite a nice run from like 117 towards 121. And, looking at the DXY, now that we have like 3 candlesticks, of course, today isn't done yet. I have to say that the reaction from the 61.8 remains really unimpressive, which makes me feel that it might be another consolidation before we break down through 9080, and they've explained before, and you can see on this chart why this is an important level. I think we break through this support area, confluence of supports there, and we open the door for new lows in the DXY. Of course, at the same time, the euro should be breaking higher if that happens. We have anyhow Aussie and Kiwi holding up very, very nicely. I mean, just look at this. The last, like, what is it, 4 or 5 candles are just consolidation. Here's Kiwi. Kiwi even reacting better the last 2-3 days than the Aussies. So, I have to say that if we have a look at USD CAD, here it is. Ended up yesterday, and this should be noted, with an outside black candle, which is quite a bearish technical development. Here's USD NOK. We talked yesterday about it retesting the broken triangle trend line, and it clearly held, and we're still trading below it. So for the time being, USD MXN, for the time being, really no evidence that dollar weakness and equity strength is over. Not after yesterday's candlesticks. So no matter how boring and annoying it is, we need to keep respecting the trend until we get proof that something different is taking place here. Now, for the other assets, platinum still consolidating here, still waiting to see what's going to happen. Palladium, both yesterday and today, tested new all-time high territory, so clearly bullish. Copper, still very well bid above the symmetrical triangle trend line resistance. So, the status quo is ongoing for the time being. Let me see if we have any more questions. Yeah, we had the comments of Lagarde. Thank you for the comments, Alexander. Yes, but what do you mean more deep, mate? Platinum and palladium? I mean, I don't have any more deep comments to make because, as I've said, having to do with platinum, I'm still uncertain what's happening here because, I can read it both ways. In one interpretation, we should have one more low. In the other interpretation, we can just resume higher. Although the more time we spend consolidating here, the more likely it looks to me that we might need to push lower once again before higher. So basically, platinum, I wouldn't be trading it at the moment. I'm waiting for more price action. Having to do with palladium, we're testing the all-time highs. So it's bullish. Above 2700, it remains bullish. And the next upside target is 3256. I don't have anything else to add to that. I mean, clearly a very, very strong market. If the gold goes up, is the palladium will go high with it? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Depends. Both of them have as a common denominator the dollar. So, from that side, they're both affected by the dollar moves, but that doesn't necessarily say something, right? So yes, if the dollar strengthens, that's a headwind for both of them, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they will be going down. Also, there are occasions that gold goes down and palladium can be going up because they are both metals, but one is a lot more risk-on sensitive, and the other one is more risk-off sensitive, gold. Of course, there is another inflation does affect both of them positively, clearly, obviously, because they both have intrinsic value. So it depends. I mean, there are circumstances that one can be going up and the other down. There are circumstances that can be moving in the same direction. But, you know, there is no type of correlation that you can say that if one goes higher, the other one has to follow, or vice versa. So keep that in mind. I mean, it's a different market with quite different characteristics and different type of demand having to do with the platinum market, I mean. Sorry, with the palladium market, I mean. Now, having to do with platinum, yes, these two are more correlated. I mean, gold and platinum are more correlated than palladium and gold are. So in most occasions, in the vast majority of occasions, if one moves higher, the other one will move higher as well. There can be divergences, though, in the extent of the move. So one can be overperforming the other, but moving in the opposite direction, that is not something that you will frequently see in these two markets. They will be broadly moving in the same direction, platinum and gold. Any more questions, guys, gals, or anything you want us to have a look at? Guild, yeah, sure. Sorry, I think I have it here. Yes. As you see, flirting with a breakout. I think it looks rather well bid, at least for one more leg higher. Right. It's in general, it had a strong downtrend, but I think the move higher was impulsive, in which case I think there is one more leg higher, at least. So I think we should see higher prices. USD yen, yes, absolutely. So the USD yen, here it is still following the template I had envisioned a long time ago. It is indeed testing the 38.2. You're right about that. But I don't think we have any real evidence that it will be turning from here. Now, if we go down to the 4-hour chart, you will notice that I have drawn this channel, right? So bottom line, what I'm trying to say, there are some RSI divergences, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. In order for me to turn bullish again, I need to see a break through this channel. Okay, until that happens, yes, it's nice that we've stalled at the 38.2, but you know, not enough evidence that we're turning higher. We might be just consolidating here before we see more weakness, before we can see higher prices, right? So I still favor the downside until proven otherwise, meaning until we see a breakout on the 4-hour chart on that channel that you saw me draw. Okay. Anything else? Going once, going twice. Okay, Stel, I think we'll wrap it up then.
Okay, mate, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye, guys. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.